Once upon a time in a land far, far away, there was a boy who tended his father's sheep in the hills near Bethlehem. The townspeople called him just a shepherd boy, but God saw a king. A boy with a sling and a song, destined to face giants, lead armies, and rule a nation. Every day, David watched the graceful dance of the clouds and the stars above him. And as the wind whispered through the hills, he sang. His voice echoed with the music of the spheres, and the sheep around him seemed to know that one day their shepherd would become the king of Israel. One day, the prophet Samuel arrived in Bethlehem. He was looking for a special boy, a boy who was destined to be the king of Israel. Samuel had already visited many families, and one by one, David's older brothers stood before him. They were strong and impressive, and Samuel thought that one of them must be the boy he was looking for. But after each brother went back, God told Samuel, "Don't judge by appearances or by what the eyes can see. I have rejected them. My king will not come from this family." Samuel was confused, but he trusted God, so he continued his search. Soon, he arrived at the house of Jesse, the father of David, and when David heard that Samuel had come, he left the hills and ran as fast as he could. He might have been a shepherd boy, but he was also the fastest runner in the fields. By the time he reached the town, Samuel had already talked to Jesse, and when Jesse saw David, he waved him over. David was the youngest, and he didn't look like a king. He smelled of sheep, and he had a staff in his hand. But something in his eyes caught Samuel's attention. He looked up at David and asked, "Is this your youngest? For the Lord has told me, he is the one. He will become king of Israel." Jesse nodded. Samuel took David aside and anointed him with holy oil. That moment, God's Spirit came upon David, and the crown of Israel was his. But David didn't realize it yet. He had to wait because God's plans often take time. And soon, the Philistines came. Their biggest and baddest soldier was Goliath. He was a giant nearly 10 feet tall, and he taunted the Israelites every day. But no one dared face him. They were afraid, and they thought only a bigger, stronger giant could defeat him. One day, David asked the Israelites why they weren't doing anything about the giant. When he heard their answer, he became very angry. How dare these giants mock God and the people of Israel? He would show them what one small stone could do. That afternoon, David walked out to meet Goliath. He had a sling in his hand and a pouch of stones around his shoulder. He might have been just a shepherd boy, but in his heart, he was a lion. "I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty," he shouted. He threw a stone and hit the giant right between the eyes. Goliath stumbled. He fell to the ground with a thud, and the giant was no more. From that day on, David's name spread across Israel. People told stories about how a young shepherd had defeated a terrible monster. David became famous, and King Saul made him his armor-bearer. Everyone thought David would become the next king, but jealousy can turn friends into enemies. And soon, King Saul wanted David dead. He sent soldiers after him, but David always escaped. He ran for his life for years, hiding in caves and traveling from town to town. During those hard times, he wrote songs and poems, and some of them became the Psalms we read today. One day, David was given a chance to kill Saul. He could end the king's life and become the next king right away, but he refused. "I will not lift my hand against the Lord's anointed," he said. David knew that even though Saul was chasing him, he was still a king. And killing a king is a big deal. It was wrong. When Saul finally died, David became king. He conquered Jerusalem and made it the capital of Israel. He also brought the Ark of the Covenant into the city. The people sang and danced all the way to the city gate. David was a true king, and his heart was full of joy. But he wasn't perfect. He made mistakes, big mistakes. Once he took Bathsheba, and to cover up his sin, he had her husband killed. When the prophet Nathan confronted him, David's heart broke. He repented his sin and asked God for forgiveness. But his son Absalom rebelled, and in the end, David had to fight against him. During the battle, Absalom was killed. David loved that boy more than anything in the world, and he grieved for his son for a long time. He cried out, "Oh, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you." As David grew old, he passed the kingship to Solomon. Before he died, he gave him some advice. "Be strong," he said, "and obey the Lord." David's life showed everyone that God doesn't choose the strongest or the smartest. He chooses those who love him and are willing to do his work. And sometimes, he even chooses the smallest ones, because with him, even a boy can slay giants.